Attitudes and Life. Welcome back, my friends, to another live video. This is Troy Stone King. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. This video is called Attitudes and Life. Recently, I was spending a little time with a friend who's going through a very challenging divorce. And he was talking about the woman who was about to become his ex-wife, and he said something very interesting to me. He was talking about the fact that she had lost weight and that physically she was very attractive. And the interesting thing he said was, she's beautiful on the outside, but ugly on the inside. She's beautiful on the outside, but ugly on the inside. Now, I'm guessing when they first got married, he saw her as beautiful on the outside and beautiful on the inside. But you see, her attitude toward him had changed. And rather than sharing with him kindness and grace and love, she was sharing vitriol and anger. And guess what? It was being reflected back toward her from him. Her attitude toward him strongly negatively affected his attitude toward her. I used to have a member on one of my teams that I led, and he was crazy hard worker, really sharp guy, always there, always working hard for the good of the organization. But he was kind of cocky about it, and he didn't play well with others. And not a lot of people liked him. He had great potential for leadership, but because of his attitude toward others, how he treated others, he couldn't be a leader. No one would follow him. I was working with someone else a while back, and this person was never wrong. And they were good at their job, don't get me wrong. But they never were wrong in dealing with other coworkers. And of course, no one likes a person who's never wrong. I've been that guy, so I've been in a situation where people didn't like me because I was never wrong. I've worked on that quite a bit. And then there was another person I worked with some time ago, and that person had the attitude that nobody can do this job better than me. No one has the same skills and abilities, and they just shouldn't touch anything because they'll break it. They'll do it wrong. And you know what? That person never got any help from anybody else. Because why would you help somebody who thinks that, you can't do it as well as they can anyway, so why even bother? But before we go any further into, let's think of all the people who are jerks and who have these terrible attitudes. Before we go any further with this, let me ask you a question. What do we believe about other people? What is my attitude? What is Troy's attitude about other people in my life? What do I think about that person that I encounter on the street? What do I think about that person that I see in church? Maybe they're not as clean cut as I am. Maybe they smell a little different than I do. Or maybe it's pretty clear that socioeconomically they're not where I am at. Maybe they're a different origin. They come from a different country. In my heart, not the image that I'm projecting, but in my heart, what is my attitude toward that person? What do I feel inside about that person? Not what I'm trying to project, not what I'm trying the world to see, but what do I really think about it? If I were completely honest with myself, when I see that person who's a different socioeconomic level, or comes from a different place, or maybe doesn't seem quite as smart, what do I really think in my heart about that person? You see, the difference between me, when I have a bad attitude about someone else, and I'm trying to pretend like I don't, and someone who has a bad attitude about someone else, and they're not trying to hide it, is that that person's being honest. And I'm not. I'm not. Do I believe in my life that there are people that I encounter that I'm smarter than they are? I've got better morals than they do. I'm healthier. I'm in better shape. Frankly, I'm just a better person. I treat people more nicely than they do. If I've got those beliefs in my heart, then guess what? I'm the one in the wrong. I'm the one in the wrong. because I've elevated myself above my fellow woman or above my fellow man. I've basically said, I'm a better person than you. And guess what? That's not my place to judge. I don't get to make that decision. You see, I'm not responsible for their decisions. I can try to help and influence, and if they ask, I can coach or counsel. But when it comes down to it, I'm responsible for my decisions and my attitudes. So I have to decide, am I really a better person? If I think I am, then it's not true. Then it's not true. You see, the attitudes we hold in our hearts about other people will eventually be revealed. The attitudes, the true attitudes we hold in our hearts about other people will eventually be revealed in our behaviors. Sometimes it'll be in our spoken behaviors. In a moment of great challenge and difficulty, what we really think will come out. Sometimes it'll be in our unspoken behaviors, how we kind of avoid people, or we kind of shrink back a little bit when we're in their presence. But those true heart attitudes that we have will eventually be revealed. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous. You see, because your joy in life depends on your internal attitude. But your success in relationships, your success in financially, your success spiritually, even your success physically, depends very much on your attitude toward others. Because in some way, in each of those areas, we need other people. And so if my attitude toward many other people is, I'm smarter than you, it's going to come out in how I behave, how I act, how I look at them. And I'm not going to get a lot of help from them. I'm going to be held back because of the attitudes that I hold about other people. No matter what face I try to show to the world, it's eventually going to come out. Now, I'm a person of faith. And I believe that your heart, my heart, which means partially the attitudes I have toward other people, can be changed by the power of God. I believe that the Lord can come into my heart and change my attitude towards others and my attitude toward myself. If you're not a person of faith, it might be that you're like, I really don't understand how to make this change. Let me encourage you that if you do continual better behavior, then your attitude will change. But when it comes down to it, you really need something that can absolutely, completely change your heart. And so I'm a person of faith, so I believe that God has the power to change hearts, and if we ask him to, he will. If you're not a person of faith, I'm concerned that it's going to be hard to change your core behaviors because it's going to be hard to change your core heart feelings. Your core heart feelings. So let me ask you again. Is there anyone in your life that you think, I'm kind of a better person than them? I'm somewhat more put together than they are. It doesn't mean that they're less put together, or they're not as good a person as you, or that they're not as good a person as me. It means my attitude's wrong. My attitude is wrong. So, here's the whole point of this conversation. Everything in your life depends on your attitude about yourself and your attitude about others. And if you find you're repeatedly running into walls when you're trying to develop stronger relationships, or when you're trying to improve success at work, or if you're trying to work on your spiritual life, a major factor in that is attitude. Thank you, my friends, for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that it brought value to you. If it did, I appreciate you hit the like button. If you think it brought enough value to share with your friends and family, feel free to share it out on Facebook. I do that. I make these all public, so you can do so. I had a friend come up to me earlier today and said, hey, I really enjoyed the videos. The message is great for me if I get up in the morning and I'm not feeling great. And she said, if I'm having a bad attitude, the videos help. She's not someone who I think has ever done a like on the videos or made a comment, but I appreciated the personal testimony of how she's gotten some help from these videos. So I hope that they help you. And if you want to share them out to maybe help some other friends and family, that'd be great. That'd be great. So thank you again, my friends, for your time watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.